What's good? It's Woog. Wow, Joyce just knocked out Joseph Parker in the 11th round. Wow, I have never seen Joseph Parker get beaten up like this. Even if he made it the distance, I've never seen Joseph Parker get beaten up like this. Like, I've seen a lot of Joseph Parker fights, and he's had a very good career. I mean, he's a former belt holder, and he's, gone 12 with the likes of Derek Chisora twice, winning both of them, first controversially, then non-controversially. He's gone 12 rounds with Anthony Joshua, and he's lost 2 fights. He lost to Anthony Joshua. He got dropped twice by Dillian White. I look at one of those 2 knockdowns as being legitimate, but he got dropped twice, hurt a couple times against Dillian White, lost via close unanimous decision. He did rally back, have Dillian White badly hurt in the 12th round, but he lost that fight. So I've seen him lose multiple times. And, the Anthony Joshua one, he lost via unanimous, but again, competitive decision, but didn't get badly battered. Like, I feel like this was the first time the fight against Junior Fa was a difficult one for Joseph Parker, but not nearly as bad as this pretty savage beating, just pummeling, I will call it, against Joyce. And I picked Joseph Parker to win a razor-thin decision here. Joyce, it's, the heavyweight division, it's really something else, isn't it? Where, you see they have weight classes for a reason, right? So when somebody moves from 140 to 147, you might assume that they're going to have success, but you really don't know what you're going to get until you see if that fighter is acclimated and comfortable and strong in that upper division. The heavyweight division doesn't care about any of this. Like, once you are past 200 pounds, now I know the WBC has the bridgerweight division between 200 and 225, but they also honor fighters who want to participate at heavyweight who are under 225 but above 200. But basically anything above 200, you're just left to the wolves. Like, if you're 230 and 235, and I know Joseph Parker came in heavier for this one, like 250 plus in the weigh-in, but he was fighting a 270 plus Joyce here. And so, yeah, when we saw the Tyson Fury versus Wilder fight, sometimes Wilder was giving up like 30, 40 pounds. And I get it. That's just how the heavyweight division rolls. But, damn, because, I'm watching this fight and I'm thinking Joseph Parker might be technically better than Joyce. He might be more of a sweet science guy, might have the slightly quicker hands, the better reflexes, the more precise punching, the better defense. He might have all of these things, but when you've got a maniac, an absolute animal, a skilled animal walking you down, look, skills aside, if Joyce at his size just had the chin that he had and the power that he had and nothing else, like no skill, it would still be a massive undertaking to try to go 12 rounds with this guy. Just because if he just keeps on throwing those slow clubbing shots and keeps on jabbing, and it's like after an exchange, like if he gets hit with a clean shot, which he got hit by plenty clean Joseph Parker punches, it's almost like he doesn't care. Like, one of the times the commentator on the ESPN broadcast said, Joseph Parker lands a nice right hand. It was a British broadcaster, said lands a nice right hand, and Joyce seems unconcerned by it. I laughed when I heard it because I was thinking, yeah, that's pretty true. Like, that was an accurate way of describing it. He seems unconcerned with getting hit, even by power punches. So even if he wasn't any sweet science guy, which he is an Olympic silver medalist, so he's got skills. And, we've seen him now beat guys like, he beat a over-the-hill Bermain Stavern, but he stopped Daniel Dubois, he stopped Carlos Takam. He stopped all but one opponent to date. And he wins usually wins most of the rounds. It's arguable whether he was winning most of the rounds at the time he stopped Daniel Dubois. That was a little bit closer on the scorecards, but he's pretty skilled. But even if he wasn't skilled, just his style of volume punching and the pressure that he's putting on his opponents, it would be an absolute nightmare. Because I often use this phrase, the treadmill from hell, where the guy's putting you at a pace where even if you're the cleaner puncher and able to out tit for tat beat him in these exchanges, How long can you do that for if this guy's going to be right back in your face? And if you look at the way that Joe Joyce moves laterally to instantly cut the ring off, and before you know it, he's throwing another 2 jabs before he's looking for power punch opportunities. Like, how long can you keep this up for? It almost feels like like a prime Antonio Margarito. And I know that he was super controversial, pretty much a proven cheater. But I'm just saying, in terms of what we saw when we first saw Miguel Cotto versus Antonio Margarito 1, where it's like, damn, Cotto seems to be the better boxer, quicker hands, landing the cleaner combinations and so forth. But damn, this guy is just walking him down and seems unconcerned with getting punched. And that it has to just take such a mental toll. Like, Joseph Parker was bloodied by like the 2nd or 3rd round. And it became very apparent, like, oh boy, how long is he going to be able to keep this up for? Because it seems clear Joe Joyce is going to keep on coming in on him and just throwing bludgeoning punches. Just the blunt force of his punches seem to just have a massive impact, even if it looks to our eyes that these punches are coming pretty slowly. Like, sometimes when he throws that sweeping left hook to the body, he's leaving his chin pretty exposed, but it's like, okay, what, you're going to try to thread the needle and hit him when he's punching? Yes, and even if you have success and beat him to the punch, he's coming right back with another jab and an overhand right, and just, it's oh man. It's like watching, having seen so much of the career of Joseph Parker and then just see him under this immense pressure and see the visible signs of the beating that he's taking. It was a little bit hard to watch it. I'll put it like this. This felt like watching a 15-rounder. Like, this might have been stopped, and the knockout was pretty devastating, where you saw a 250-pound guy not able to break his fall, legs just give out because he just got clubbed with one left hook to the head too many, and he just sunk, just collapsed against the ropes. Like, and he did beat the 10 count, but he was clearly like unsteady, and I had no problem with the stoppage. This might have been an 11th round knockout in a scheduled 12-round fight. It felt like I was watching a 15-rounder. It felt like this was like a 13th or 14th round stoppage. It was that brutal, and it felt like it was good. It felt like we were on that path pretty early in the fight. Even if Joseph Parker would steal around here or there, maybe, right? He was having his moments of landing clean shots, but it seemed like not too long after that, very quickly after that, Joe Joyce would get right back to landing hard power punches, or just, his jab is a power punch. So landing power punches, including the jab of his own. So again, this might have taken until the 11th round, but we got the impression, at least I got the impression, that this is where we were headed, and it became a question of, damn, is Joseph Parker going to be able to fight his way out of this to go the full 12 rounds and then maybe gain some favor in the scoring here? Because it seemed apparent that Joe Joyce ain't going anywhere, and he ain't going anywhere but forward. And again, he's not just lumbering forward, he is skillfully cutting the ring off, because if he has you kind of against the ropes here and then you start moving laterally, he's very good at moving laterally with you and then throwing the jab again, or kind of trapping you with a sweeping left hook to get you back in line here and then throwing the power punch to follow it up. It's just a handful. And again, Joseph Parker might have been 250 plus pounds, but Joe Joyce was 270 plus. And again, that's just how it is in the heavyweight division. I'm starting to wonder who's going to be able to handle him in terms of the elite fighters in the division. Now, maybe Tyson Fury could sweet science him and be able to be elusive enough, being that, Joe Joyce is kind of slow-handed, where maybe Tyson Fury is still, I wonder if his legs are still, fleet of foot enough to stay out of range for 12 rounds in the way that he could against a Vladimir Klitschko. But check it out. Vladimir Klitschko had kind of like a more of a construct, right? As does Anthony Joshua. Like Richard Dwyer, online boxing analyst, often points out, that they kind of follow a similar blueprint that Vladimir Klitschko laid out the blueprint for Anthony Joshua in terms of how to conduct yourself, stance-wise and your punch selection and so forth. Joe Joyce will do different things where he'll kind of like mess with you, right? He'll jab, and he'll even like just wave his hand like this just to get you to look at something and then throw a punch. So he's constantly putting mental and physical pressure on you, where again, he's 6'6", 270 pounds. I don't care how good you are. Can you handle this this 6'6", 270 guy who's got knockout power coming in on you constantly, throwing punches, jabs, and if he's throwing nothing else, he's always throwing a jab. And he's not too bad defensively either. Yes, he is getting caught with some punches, but he is hopping back to then hop back in. He is, you know, kind of doing some level of range control, but again, he's doing different tricks, like doing this with his hand before he then throws a punch with the other hand. So he's constantly giving you something to look at or have to worry about. So even if he looks kind of oafy or clumsy when he's doing this with his hand, right? At 6'6", you mean to tell me that that's not going to get your attention and get you to start worrying about what's he doing with his hand, and then he throws something on top of that? Again, look at Anthony Joshua. You could look at Alexander Usyk, and we could start. I mean, Usyk fought Joe Joyce and beat him when they were kind of semi-pros in one of those like world boxing like tournaments or world boxing, you know, super series like tournaments. But this was not a professional fight that goes on your record. However, they weren't wearing headgear, and Usyk won that fight via decision. So, you know, maybe still in the professional ranks, Usyk can handle Joe Joyce, but maybe not as well. You know, I look at Joe Joyce as being like a challenge for any of the even elite guys in the division right now. And like, could you imagine how interesting a Joe Joyce versus Deontay Wilder fight would be? You've got the unbreakable chin against the biggest bomb in the heavyweight division, and Joe Joyce just kind of keeps on coming forward and putting the pressure. Like, something's got to give there. I don't know what it is, but something's got to give. But I'm starting to just kind of like envision what Joe Joyce versus fighter A, fighter B, fighter C looks like at this stage. Now, look, I saw everything I needed to see from Joe Joyce at this point. Nobody does that to Joseph Parker, is what I'm trying to say. And Joe Joyce just did that to Joseph Parker. This was clearly his biggest and best win, most impressive performance. This made Joe Joyce look like an absolute nightmare. Let me know what you thought about the fight. Like, we could go round by round and talk about how we scored it. I almost feel like that's irrelevant because it felt like the story of the fight was, man, how much more can Joseph Parker take of this immense pressure, and what's he going to do to get out of this one? Like, it almost felt like that. Oh, geez. Please let me know what you thought about Joe Joyce versus Joseph Parker in the comments. You know, watching this fight, it made the betting odds make sense. And at first, I wasn't agreeing with it. I picked Joseph Parker to win via close decision. But given what we've seen between these two, and obviously the way the fight was finished and just how the fight was going, it made the betting odds make sense. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on Joyce versus Parker. Whew, like this put all elite heavyweights and put the whole division on notice. Like, you should have a huge upgrade in your, you know, like Ring Magazine divisional ranking after a performance like this. Again, nobody does this to Joseph Parker. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments and what you think going forward now that Joe Joyce is going to be one of Usyk's mandatories. First of all, I don't know if he's getting a title shot in the next like calendar year because of how the heavyweight division might be tied up, but it's going to be worth checking out who really wants to fight this guy right now. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you are into the fight talk. I'm Woog. Thanks for tuning in.